Those hands and lights can't stop me. I'll just hold on for dear life. Yeah, I can't give up this feeling that I get when looking down from this high. Now with you, now with you, I'm with you. That I get when looking down from this high. It's me now. Can't give up this feeling. It's me now. Can't give up this feeling. Those hands and lights can't stop me. I'll just hold on for dear life. Yeah, I can't give up this feeling that I get when looking down from the sky. Now with you, now with you, can't give up this
전화 좀 줘볼까? 어우, 기분이 세진다.
가서 죽지 말고 잘해라.
박사의 뒤틀린 야망을 막기 위해
One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team.
Invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing that we have made together.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes, major story beats.
With competitive and PvE, I see Overwatch 2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
Bring that cinematic experience into the game.
You can invest in your heroes and grow them over time. I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
I can't wait for people to play this game. It just gets better and better.
There are some things that we just can't do without a sequel.
We always want Overwatch to feel like this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that represents the empire that it used to be. So we brought some of that back. Some of the things that are destroyed in real life, we kind of rebuilt in a kind of an Overwatch style.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of environment art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away. We're really striving to make it as authentic as possible while still putting this Overwatch spin on it.
There's a lot of amazing buildings and architecture pieces that just, especially for artists, stands out a lot. And they usually use this kind of Art Deco style from the 1920s, 1950s.
We started in an area that's a little bit like the village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations. It feels like something you haven't seen in other games before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
Well, we should move on.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map. And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that we've been exploring in Overwatch 2 PvP is a change to the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of fire strikes, so he can throw fire strikes a lot more aggressively and more often. Also his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can, not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively and, really go after those key targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice, all of your positioning, everything to get there. He's almost more terrifying now with this, be able to unleash his full arsenal more often than kind of just being the guy with a shield.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not ship, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
When we first started working on Overwatch, we spent quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything, nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel and visual effect when you hit things.
That means the way the gun feels in your hands, you could feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really now we're sporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tails, tight tunnels, small rooms.
As you shoot, so you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera shakes are crisp, making sure that if you get shot, exactly these tight indicators show up on the outside of your reticle. Take 76, for example. What we wanted to do in Overwatch 2 with his weapon was to make it really feel incredibly powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. A lot of that comes down to this camera shake technology, where every time you fire the weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot out of the chamber.
And she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created, well, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper. It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really powerful shot that can, rip through enemies if you really are accurate with it.
One of the things that's the hardest to wrap your head around if you've never played one of them.
The goal around hero missions is for these to be this co-op PvE.
Or to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive, and it's also something that I'm interested in.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes, and so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot of mission. We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top. So have different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time, hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding
in a payload game type, and the payload may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool. It was like this eye-opening special moment.
Lan, our lead tech artist on the environment side, very early on her own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis map.
And at the time, we didn't know what we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, oh my God, we absolutely have to do this.
So we put some new technology in place that allows us to do this dynamically. You start the mission off, clear day. Midway through the mission, suddenly this sandstorm or heavy weather would show up.
It made the world...
You start to get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you start a mission, you look at a map. It's nighttime in Necropolis, or there's a sandstorm in Necropolis. Players can make some comp choices based on knowing this information. Characters like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable because they have abilities that allow them to see through the sand more clearly.
Or we can
talk about the objectives. Players are being asked to do different things from one hero mission to the next so that they all feel really fresh to the player.
For example, we have Gather and Return, where you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population in a negative way. It creates this really cool tension in the world where, on the one hand, you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters to be as efficient as possible, but at the same time, now you're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself, it turns into a pretty bad situation really quickly, like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
We're experimenting with all sorts of ideas, and just internally we have names like Wall of Death, Scavenger Hunt, and Kill Quest, and all these new mechanics and enemies for people to experience. Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
Version of our talent system, which I think was really cool. We had that one talent where like Meg became the rolling snowball, which was
anticipation of the hair opening up so you know what's about to happen.